You know what this music reminds me of? What's that? It always kind of reminds me like it was almost Christmassy or something. Hey everybody, this is me, Chip here, and I'm Sylvester here. We're back for the Maxi Toys, and welcome back to my Let's Play of New Super Mario Bros. U for the Nintendo Wii U. It's the last time that we actually finally concluded the Sparkling Waters world, and today for this video is that we're going to go not in a jungle world just yet, but rather we're actually going into the Frosty Glacier world, which is considerably somewhat of a fourth world or the third world. It depends on that. Again, it doesn't matter what worlds you actually go in, it depends on what pathways you can go through for between the fork and the road. So yeah, so as far as Frosty Glacier is concerned, it's basically a snow level. So anyways, the first level in Frosty Glacier, we have Frosty Glacier-1 Spinning Star Sky. And then fundamentally, I think this is how this level is actually based off of the E3 2012 stage demo, which I'm assuming in that particular E3 2012 demo, that actually features not just 5, unlike in New Super Mario Bros. Me E3 2011's tech demo, but rather you can actually have it to actually play 3 stages instead. So yeah, as far as make a little bit of a changes and what have you, so yeah. So as far as you guys can tell already from that little video quality, as far as we can consider this, you remember how that we actually did not actually put in 1080p software, or in this case a 1080p quality in the previous parts of this playthrough? I think the reason being for that is because, well, we somehow accidentally set up the HD resolution by a complete accident, so that we actually kind of forgot, because afterwards that after realizing that we actually upscaled it into 1080p, so that means the quality itself is even much nicer. Even then though, that it might actually contain some of the crisp textures a little bit. So anyway, so for this level's gimmick though, we actually have to deal with those little spinny stars, and then every time when you actually ride onto those spinning stars, this allows you to actually just to let the stars actually spin for a little bit. So yeah, that's all there is to it for this level. There's not much we can tell, but I digress. This is pretty simple. But again, that this stage was actually made its playable debut in the E3 2012 appearance from the 3rd level. There's also same with likes of the first level in the game, in the entire game itself, especially Acorn Plains and Mushroom Heights from also from Acorn Plains. Would you look at that? We got ourselves a acorn mushroom from after actually getting ourselves 7-7 as a part of the digit number. So yeah, that's quite nice. So now we got that in our inventory, and before we actually move on to the next level, we have ourselves a blue Baby Yoshi, where you remember how in the red, or in this case a pink Baby Yoshi, that this allows you to do a balloon ability, and then the yellow bulb Baby Yoshi, which allows you to actually see in the dark. But for the blue variation, however, is that we'll actually get into that in a second. So oh, crikey, that's a little bit of a interesting notification there. So anyways, Frosty Glacier-2 Cooligan Fields, which I'm assuming that's what this level's called. So yeah, as far as you guys can tell from this level here, is this basically the only deal with this level is that we have to deal with some Cooligan enemies, which are returning enemies from New Super Mario Bros. Wii. They have no idea why these guys have been absent in New Super Mario Bros. 2 though, but I digress. So yeah, as far as Blue Baby Yoshi can do is that he can actually shoot out some bubbles coming out of his mouth, and also you can actually use the bubbles with is to actually just let these enemies transform into bubbles into, or in this case, use the bubbles to let enemies transform into like 3 coins. Yeah, as far as I could consider that. So yeah, a few things we want to mention about certain stuff is the fact that recently that during the yesterday department that we totally forgot to mention about the when me and Duffy are now doing Sonic and the Black Knight right now. Excuse me about that, I've got this really horrendous thing stuck in my throat. But anyway, that I digress. So yeah, so that recently, that in yesterday, according to North America anyway, that Sonic Boom Fire and Ice did actually came out in North America yesterday, which, for what I've noticed that, oh shoot, Well, let's go back so that we can actually. Also, good thing since we actually don't touch the ice flower to begin with. So that means if we get hurt by a Cooligan by a random placement of that pipe over there. Oh crap! For which sake? I don't know why are we doing that right there. Anyway, so the final star coin in this level is that you have to stomp onto these little you know, Cooligan enemies. In this case, Cooligan penguins, as you can tell. So that if you're actually just trying to reach up to that platform right there. Luckily, if you made any mistakes though, however, you can like try again and just try to actually go back off screen. And then just trying to actually let the Cooligan just actually respawn. So, yeah, it's a good thing that you can actually constantly do that if you constantly fall off from that particular section. So, there you go. So yeah, Sonic Boom Fire and Ice came out in North America yesterday. And it seems more likely the reviews on that particular game have gone massively, slightly improved over the, Rise of Lyric for sure, yes. And, a little bit on, Shadow Crystal for a little bit. And, for what I've noticed, it actually get ourselves in, as far as Metacritic's concerned, for the review of the entire game itself, it's actually ranging from 65 out of 100, which is not bad. But even though it's decent enough. I think some people think that they highly praise the game is the fact that they do not force you to actually collect those collectibles once you progress through the game, which is a huge plus. And also the cutscenes have been much more improved this time around, and also fully animated and voice actors in the in-game cutscenes rather than just the awkward speech bubbles and what have you. So anyway, Frosty Glacier does Tower, Ice, or Freezing Rain Tower. I'm presuming that's what this level's called. So, let's just go ahead and fight against with the 4th Boom Boom. Yeah, Freezing Rain Tower. So, yeah, as far as I just noticed for that already, that's, you know. So, for this level right here, we actually have ourselves a crumbling, icicles to deal with right here, so that we don't want to get hurt by those, especially the giant variations. But for the most part though, Frosty Glacier is very much exactly similar to the snow levels from New Super Mario Bros. Wii for the most part, because it has these icicle platforms that you can actually step on and stuff like that as soon as it crumbles down. And then what's unique about this snow level compared to the daytime other variations of the snow world from the previous New Super Mario Bros. Games is the fact that the Frosty Glacier actually has a nighttime setting, which it does feel pleasant to look at, especially for the likes of how they actually add in some constellations, which is really remarkable for the Wii U title like this. And I think this is probably the best looking snow levels even by to this day in the Mario standards, especially the likes of the Super Mario 3D World, which again, that Super Mario 3D World has the best looking Mario game that's ever been released on the system so far. So, yeah. As far as the Super Mario 3D World in general, I was almost 3 years old at that time. Yeah, when it first came out in 2013 for that time. So, yeah. Another thing we need to mention about something is the fact that recently we got ourselves a new PlayStation game. In fact, the PlayStation 1 game, in fact. Even though it's a bit of an old school type of situations like we do. But honestly guys, that's how we usually like doing that most of the time. So yeah, the game that we actually got for the PlayStation 1, it was actually known as Hydro Thunder, which was basically a watercraft racing. Well, I've saw the game cover for Hydro Thunder, especially the gameplay footage of Hydro Thunder in general. Specifically, we actually did look up on the N64 version, and especially the Sega Dreamcast version. And from what I've heard is, it was actually a really hell of a lot more fun than I think about it. But even then though, that we decided to pick up the PlayStation version just because still we can't. Even though we haven't buy many Dreamcast games nowadays, don't we? I know, we're far behind with Dreamcast games department. Because again, the only Dreamcast games we've ever got is Sonic Adventures 1 and 2. And that's about it. Not Sonic Shuffle or anything, or Chicken Run, or especially noticeable on Toy Story 2 for that matter. But anyway though, so here we go with the Boom Boom fight for a 4th time. Now, again, it doesn't matter what pathways you can go through after beating Layer Cake Desert. So all it does, it's basically the exact same pattern. Like you know, the only difference is that you only have to deal with ice physics instead of the solid ground. So that's the only thing that you might actually try to worry about is the ice physics. And there we go then. Even then though, he's not that much of a challenge to begin with for this particular battle. But again, if, you know, depends on what route you can take, like, you can either complete Sparkling Waters first, or just go for, Frosty Glacier, so it doesn't matter. And then, yeah, just like how it does it in the Sparkling Waters world, that, if you actually first time go into Frosty Glacier, it will show you the cutscene where, you know, the Princess Peach's castles got covered in the purple smoke after, you know, Kamek causes a spell. Anyway, Frosty Glacier 3, Prickly Goombas, which as far as this level suggests, that we're going to encounter those prickly Goombas hide into those prickly shells, right? Or in this case, some spiky, prickly, parts there, which I think it will appear in the earlier on this time around, because considering that how in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, that these guys do make their appearance in this dreadful World 9-7, because that is by far the hardest special world in any Mario games period. At least I found anyway. So anyway, just like how it does it on World 9-7 is the fact that you can actually just take these Goombas out of this little spiky stuff right there, and then if you actually try to use that with your fireball, or the alternative way that you can actually use the this spewing piranha plants can actually spew out fireball, so that you can do it that way too. So yeah, that's another suggestions for actually doing recommendation for that part. So yeah, anyways, there's the first star coin just up there. Now we can go back down. So yeah, we have not long until when the European version of Sonic Boom Fire and Ice are about to come around until the 30th of September, which I'm actually kind of glad that how we're getting closer to when I was being supremely impatient for actually just to let Sonic Boom Fire and Ice to be released, even though originally it was supposed to came out in again in 2015 during December time. But then they decided to actually delay it because I think it's probably noticeable the thing is the fact that I think they're trying to improve the game a bit, like improvement cutscenes, in-game cutscenes anyway, as well as the CGI cutscenes and models. And yeah, you don't have to deal with the tedium side quests like usually you're gonna have to like not to worry about this collecting those required to get those collectibles in order to proceed for the next level or something. So, you know, it's kind of like the same thing to me from, let's just say Super Mario 64 style, and especially Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 for that matter. So I digress. And then we have Yoshi with us, so that, the reason why we need Yoshi to begin with is because of the second star coin, which we've recently grabbed. And basically that, again, just like how it does it on, the Pokies from the Layer Cake Desert world, that you can actually just jump on the these spiky prickly shells from while using Yoshi to begin with. So yeah, that's pretty handy. Yeah, exactly, for sure. So anyway though, so here we go with face off against with the Cooligans. Yeah, the enemy courses in Frosty Glacier is Cooligan penguin enemy. So at least it's not that much to deal with here. And then the Koopaling battle for this world right here is easily be Windy O Koopa right there. So yeah, just to let you guys know that. So now there's a little secret with this, is the fact that once you're actually standing here for more likely 20 seconds or 30 seconds for that matter, there's actually a little bit of a hidden scene where if you actually leave there for a few seconds, well, there's actually a nabbit will try to show up and then trying to actually steal an item. So when you wait for it, this happens. As you can see, Nabbit just actually nabbed the item, and there's no way you can actually grab the item from now on. So usually you have to wait about roughly 30 seconds. So yeah, it do usually happen. So that doesn't matter anyway, because we're just showing you guys how yeah. So Frosty Glacier -4 scaling the Mountainside, which in this case that in this level suggests that we have to deal with bullet bills and as well as waddle wings, since we haven't seen waddle wings since Layer Cake Desert, I'm presuming. And also the main gimmick for this level is very similar to how it does in Above the Cheap Seas, the scaling platforms, so that we can actually scale for the another side of the level. So yeah, pretty cool for my liking. So yeah, if you leave from again, if you stand here for 30 seconds in the enemy enemy courses, that bit will try to nab your treasure item, and then there's no way you can actually get your freebie item after doing with all the enemies. Although the only time you can get the items though is to obviously try to get to the treasure chest before Nabbit does. For like roughly before 30 seconds later, and then you probably won't get an item for sure. So yeah, just wanted to clarify that. So for this level, it's pretty self-explanatory, especially if you're noticeable if you've actually been using those scaling platforms every once in a while. So yeah, pretty simple and self-explanatory for me anyway. And we got us yet another 1-up, so that means our life count is now up to 71. So we pretty much slowly increasing our 1-ups a bit, so that hopefully we can actually get up to 99 lives as soon as possible. When we get to the 99 lives at this point, we'll probably have to find out until we actually progress for the game. So yeah, that's it for scaling the Mountainside. And this will actually lead us to the second ghost house level in the game. So, but we're not going to the ghost house level just yet though, because now we're dealing with Frosty Glacier -5 Icicle Caverns, which we're going to be going inside the caverns itself, but we're dealing with some ice physics involved, like for instance, the ice cone, which usually drops down from the ceiling. So, you know, especially those little sharp icicle stuff will actually just crumble down for a few moments. So, yeah, as far as Hydro Thunder is concerned, that we like to give that game a try, especially when I was like so interested with that game in particular. So, yeah, pretty interesting to say much for that. And as far as at this point for right now, oh crap, oh no, ah, that was kind of my fault there. Probably because we're just a bit too hasty for my part. Yeah, that was just me anyway. So anyway. Well, luckily though, since we actually got ourselves a spare acorn power-up, so that means we can use it wisely for that part. So hopefully we can try that again. Seems just really weird that how we always come to die just once in each world so far. Like, that was a seriously misunderstanding. Like, we did die once in Acorn Plains, which sure enough it was actually got crushed by this cogs. And we only died just once in Little Cake Desert. I'm assuming it was probably at, if I remember rightly, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's in... Oh, jeez, I can't remember. Oh, yes, the secret level in Little Cake Desert, Piranha Plants on Ice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what this says. And then in Sparkling Waters, we only died once in, which level will that be on? Let's see. If I remember rightly, it will probably have to be, oh gee, I'm having a lot of struggle just to think about it at first glance, because usually that's, it's quite hard to actually keep in a sidetrack for, how much we do die sometimes in, specific, parts of the... Shoot. I hate these ice bros. I really hate them. Oh, right. It's the, Skyward Stalk that we usually, die just once in, the Sparkling Waters world. But now, we died, first from, this level in particular, from Frosty Glacier. But again, it's mostly because we're just a bit too hasty, and because of that, we somehow ended up in a speedrun mode turned on for some reason, from my head. Well, we're just gonna have to warn it out for a few temporary moments, because obviously, although we're kind of a little bit too careful at points, especially with ice physics like this, so, yeah. And the reason why we hit it to that green pipe on the right is because, well, there's a third and final star coin so that you can reach it. However, if you somehow accidentally fall off of this little platforming segment with the ice physics involved, you're gonna have to, like, skip it for the time. So, unless if you actually keep a hold of your PA coin, well, we'll explain more on PA coin until later, if we actually use one anyway. Anyway, so let's see what item we can get. We got only a mini mushroom, so that's kind of there. Or in this case, we'll take, I suppose. And would you know it, there is actually an abbot in this level, or in this case this world, where he's actually located at Prickly Goombas level. So hopefully we can actually catch up to him and during, not this particular ending part, but we'll do that in the next video. So yeah, next time on Let's Play New Super Mario Bros. U from Nintendo Wii U is that hopefully we can finish off Rusty Glacier. So see you guys then. Later fellas.